Well, greetings, friends, and welcome to the Gospel Underground Podcast. This is episode 76, the COVID Culture Survival Guide, Part 3, Living That Fit Life. We are broadcasting live for us from the Power of Change Worldwide headquarters here in Blacksburg, Virginia, home of the Hokies. And we have live guests, live for them literally, from two different parts, very near and dear to me. We have Willie Pile, former Virginia Tech Hokie football player, Dallas Cowboy, Kansas City, Toronto Argonauts, brother from a different mother, and friend of mine here joining us from somewhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. What town are you actually in, Willie?
I'm in Grapevine, literally right near DFW Airport.
Okay, I know that spot. Yeah. And Motives Mike Demarco, former Rutgers University wrestler, joining us from New Jersey, my second home state. I'm originally from Virginia, but love Jersey for life now. They've joined us here to talk about the fit life. We've been jumping in here on how during the pandemic, how do we kind of continue life, create new normals, all these different kinds of things, but more importantly, how do we thrive? And here on the Underground, we've had this survival guide, not trying to tell you medical advice. That's not our place. We're not storing canned goods or guns or surviving in the woods or anything like that. It's not that kind of survival guide. This is about how do we live, normal Joes and Josephines, how do we thrive spiritually? So we did a thing, Hope and Life Together. How do we thrive intellectually? Kayla Joy, my daughter, 18, joined me last week for an audiobooks extravaganza. And today we're talking about the body or working out. One of the things in the Bible says has nothing to do with irreverent or silly myths. Rather, train yourself for godliness. For while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. So godliness, becoming more like Jesus, is kind of an aim of life spiritually, intellectually, physically. But we know that this verse uses this word that in Greek means go to the gym. Well, not many of us are going to the gym, but we got some garage gym warriors, some workout masters that have joined us today. Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Reed.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Mike is wearing a mobbing shirt, so if you see the video of this, that's Anthony Ashnault, Scrap Life wrestling shirt. Schnaulty B. Mobbin, national champ from Rutgers, one of my favorite wrestlers, and one of the favorites around our house as well. And I got a little Jersey Rutgers shirt representing today as well. Mike is assistant strength and conditioning coach at Rutgers University. I believe he has wrestling and gymnasts, so these are actual strong people. Not that golfers aren't strong, but it's different with gymnasts and stuff. But Mike wrestled for Rutgers from 2007 to 12, serving as team captain. And listen to this, guys. He earned the Wilfred Kahn Award for the most inspirational athlete. Mike, take a minute to tell us how you became so inspirational, a little bit of your story.
Well, going into my career at Rutgers, I was a recruited walk-on. I don't think the coaches ever had any intent of me being a staple in the lineup, but I was a walk-on. I was a 103-pound wrestler in high school. For those of you that know, in college, the lightest weight is 125 pounds. So I walked on campus probably about $115, and I was redshirting that first year for obvious reasons. I needed to grow. And, at the end of the day, I wound up being a 4-year starter in a situation where, I was brought on to be a role player and a good teammate and a good school guy. And I wound up, just putting my foot to the dirt every day and just doing whatever I felt I needed to do to keep progressing and moving forward. So during my career at Rutgers, I was able to get linked up with Athletes in Action, and that's where I met John Maurer and Tyler Turner. And that's where I met you, Reed, at Jacobs Well.
John and Tyler are longtime friends. John was a football guy, but great guy relating to athletes. And Tyler was an All-American from Wisconsin who was working with the team at the time as a coach and kind of a chaplain, right?
Yeah. He came on campus not for wrestling. I mean, he came on with Athletes in Action, and he showed up in our wrestling room first day of practice and was like, I'm here. I'm an All-American. And, our coaches welcomed him with open arms. And
coach, you don't have to pay, right?
No, yeah, exactly. He came in during my fourth year. So, and during that fourth year, I mean, I'd been the guy when we were doing all stuff off mat with running or anything like that. Like, that was me. That was my wheelhouse. I still say I didn't lose a run in about 4 years. And then Tyler comes on first day. and this guy smokes me.
Yeah, and
that was the first time I was like,
and he's not even competing anymore. He's like done his time, and he's still going. Yeah.
Yeah, and he to this day, I guarantee you, he's just as competitive. And it was through physical activity that I was first introduced to Athletes in Action, and that competitiveness drew me in, and ultimately, I gave my life to Christ through AIA and through Tyler with the help of John and all them, and I'm forever thankful for that. And since moving on from Rutgers, I opened up my own facility called Motives Movement. We're going into our 6th year in business now. So after being just with that for 4 years, I went back to Rutgers as the assistant strength and conditioning coach. And in the past 2 years, I've been juggling both to the best of my ability. So, and now here we are.
I can tell you, I'm a very big fan of amateur wrestling. I follow it as close as anybody. I know the results of almost every match every week, and I've watched the transformation of literally, you see the physique of a wrestling team can change as the training methods change. And, man, you're doing a great job because those guys are strong, particularly Ashnod, who was kind of a thin 141-pound All-American, who now is like a beastly 70 kilo. I guess you're trying to probably get him down to 65 kilograms for the Olympic trials. But, man, what a transformation in strength and conditioning you've done with those guys.
Thank you.
Any family in Jersey still, or?
Yeah, the whole family's in Jersey, except my mom's side. So, Bergen County, born and raised, best county in the state.
Best Italian food in the world.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, the whole family's here. Even during these times, they feel distant, but that they're only a short drive away. So it's nice to grow up like that, and I can only hope to have kids that experience the same growing up I did, being able to drive a short drive away to see all their cousins.
I tell you, our prayers have been with our New Jersey family and people in New York City Metro. We know you guys have been hit hard, and I even found out yesterday, my mom, who's in Memphis, Tennessee area, her boss is positive, and they've been very close quarters, continuing to work. So it's kind of hitting close to our family. Hoping, my mom's older and has asthma, so we're hoping that there's nothing going to hit there. But, well, man, I'm a big Rutgers fan. I've got multiple allegiance. Obviously, I'm a Tar Heel. I wrestled for Carolina. Became a Christian at the same time. My dad was an ex-Irish Catholic atheist, and so I was a young wrestler exploring the life in the universe and seeing who I was. And so always a Tar Heel. I'm going to have Tony Roby on the top podcast, Virginia Tech's coach, here in a couple of weeks. So I love the Hokies, but, man, Rutgers is right up there, and one of my trifecta fan teams for sure. The question I was asked once when Virginia Tech moved into the ACC was whether I was going to be a Tar Heel fan in football or the Hokies. And at the time, the Hokies were very good. And I told these gentlemen, I was like, man, I don't know a single person on the UNC football team, but I know all y'all. You're in my house. How you can even ask me? So I don't think you did ACC, though. I think you were Big East the whole time. You were all Big East, free safety. Maybe were you second team All-American as well, something like that, maybe? Yes. Yep, and drafted and by Kansas City, who now you can claim a little bit of that title probably with some love. But Willie Pile is a dear friend now. Obviously, he was 18, and I was maybe 23, 24, coaching wrestling like Tyler. Wasn't winning the runs, but I was winning a lot of matches in the room. When I met Willie as a freshman, and we became really good friends, and love him, his family. So, Willie, introduce yourself a little bit. I'll fill in any gaps that I would like to, that I know that I could tell on you, but turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Reed, first off, man, it's good to hear Mike and get a little bit more of that Jersey accent coming through, man. This is like a flashback for me and a lot of my family. Obviously, born in the Bronx, grew up in Irvington, so that's Essex County. So you talk about counties, we got some athletes out of there too. And then I moved to Virginia in middle school and was, I didn't really come into the sport of football until I was a high school freshman. So I didn't play anything organized until I was a freshman in high school. I may have did 1 year of youth basketball.
Scottie Pippen.
Growing up top, growing up top, everything was about basketball. You didn't need anybody else to play ball. And so everything I designed my life around was being a basketball player. My dad, who passed away when I was 3, he was a big-time basketball player. And so my whole time I'm thinking I'm going to be a baller. I get to high school, and they're like, look, man, this football thing, you can go to school for free if you commit to doing a little bit more in this football field. He was like a 6'2" guard, a 6'2" safety. Yeah. He was like, you got better options. It's 12 scholarships in basketball. It's 85 in football. And I love math.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and stick with this football thing. And so I was fortunate to have a good career in high school, be around some outstanding ball players, and it afforded me an opportunity to play for Virginia Tech. And so Coach Beamer, Coach Foster, they came down or came up to Northern Virginia, where I grew up in Alexandria. They
saw you in the marching band or something, or
yeah, yeah. They got to see the kids in the marching band a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to be versatile.
Yeah, well rounded.
Yeah, that's one of the things you got to, really during this COVID-19 situation, you definitely want to have multiple interests. Like if your interest only lies within sports, then it is going to be tough. With me, I can throw some music, bust out an instrument. I'm teaching my boy the drums now. And so I'm doing all of it. But yeah, I was in the marching band, and again, Beamer and Foster came up, recruited me and asked me to come in. I originally was a quarterback. And so the cool thing about it was I was the guy up in Northern Virginia. I was, player of the year. I was, all first team, all region, like region player of the year as a quarterback. The problem is that was just tiny Northern Virginia. There was another guy down in the Tidewater area that was a whole lot better, and his name was Ronald Curry. And he ended up going to North Carolina, where Reed went.
That's right.
Well, in the same district as Ronald Curry was another guy named Michael Vick. And Mike ended up going to Virginia Tech. And so I wore number 7 in high school. As you can see, I got the jersey right there to prove it. I wore number 7 in high school.
He said seats taken.
Yeah, that thing happens quick, right?
Yeah.
Coach is like, look, Mike's going to wear a 7. He's a quarterback. You're playing defense. And so it worked out because, one quick funny story about Rutgers is that Rutgers was the flashpoint for me as a football player. I played a game up there as a redshirt freshman. So I redshirted my first year. I played. I was a backup. That was the year we went to the national championship.
Nick
I played a
Sorensen.
game at Rutgers. It was early in the season.
Yeah.
Right? I fractured my C7 hitting one of the fullbacks from Rutgers. I got on the plane. They said, you fractured your neck, Willie. And I'm sitting there like, wait, what? I got a broken neck? So I got to explain this to my family. Like, I got a broken neck. They said, it's not broken where it's not stable, but you do have to sit down for a little bit. So they gave me a neck brace. I rehabbed as best you could, which is basically taking calcium pills and making sure the traps and all my stabilizers were strong. And I sat out pretty much the rest of the year. I played in the JV game, got some garbage time. I had an opportunity to get in the national championship when our starter, Nick Sorensen, went down, and I didn't get in. And you talk about just heartbroken, but the coaches hadn't seen me play because of the injury that happened in Rutgers. Well, I'm sitting on the bench as Florida State holding up the national championship, and I looked up at the scoreboard and said, I will never be a backup at Virginia Tech again. And so that moment in Rutgers led to me putting all of my energy and effort into being a starter. And then from that sophomore year all the way through my senior year, I became a starter and obviously, led the league in picks and All-American and all that good stuff. And so it was during those times, and if we go back, was that I was introduced to Reed. Yeah. So Keon Carpenter, God rest his soul, he was a free safety on the team, a DB. Nick Sorensen, he was a backup quarterback, also transitioning to DB.
He had to cover Peter Warwick in that national championship game that you didn't have to.
Coach, I was ready. Reed,
you were ready. I don't know, Will.
I told this
the Heisman Trophy was rolling.
I know. He was 37 years old. He had kids. I think he had a grandchild. They were spectacular, man. Yeah. That squad, I mean, so many first-round picks, All-Americans. You're right. I definitely would have my work cut out. But at that time, I really did believe in my skill set, what I could do.
That's right.
I met Reed on campus that freshman year, going into that redshirt freshman year, through Keon and Nick. And they were like, man, we about to go to this Bible study. Andre Davis, another one. And so we go to this Bible study, and I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. Because I grew up in a church. My stepdad was a preacher. My mom sung in the choir, so I'm always in church. And I was like, man, this is a little bit like home. But the thing that was cool is that I met Reed on some chill type, man, let's just go play dominoes. Let's just hang out, right? There was no, hey, you got to take this Bible and you got to pray this many times. It wasn't about rules. It was about a relationship. And that's what I took from meeting him. And then from there, it became a discipleship to where you look at him as an older father figure. And then it was like, shoot, it's like a brother more than anything. And we were able to forge a relationship over our love of sports, dominoes, food. Now he's a barbecue man. We had that love-hate relationship between Duke and Carolina.
Yeah, Willie's a Duke basketball guy. You don't have to bring that. This is my podcast. Can you keep Duke off of it?
Strike that from the record. That other team's in the real blue.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize how many really solid men just came out of that football program. Not everybody realized how good you guys were and went on to the national title game and all that. But the amount of guys that got serious about their faith and now, right, are like you, married, fathers, business guys, doing work, but still in the game. It's just really one of the things I look back on fondly is just where you guys all are today.
Man, that's a great point, Reed, because one of the things that I always think of is just the conversations, the talks, right? The fact that no one but one lived a perfect life. And it's like, look, guys, it's a relationship. You have your ups, you have your downs. Injuries, stuff off the field, stuff with girlfriends, stuff with, finances, all those things happen. But the more you can dig into God's word, the more you can surround yourself with good people, you're able to overcome those. And then when we became professionals, it was like, I had no problem being in the pro locker room because I knew how to handle myself in the college locker room because I had a solid source of encouragement. And that's really what we all needed, right? As young men, you're away from your family, you need that solid source of encouragement. And Reed was that. And then I was able to be a leader on campus and start meeting other guys and be in that role for them. So it just kind of trickles down. And now, again, I have a family, a wife. We've been married for almost 14 years in July, right? Reed actually was able to pray at our wedding. He was a part of it. He had a strong role at our reception. And, I got two younger kids. I got a 12-year-old and a 3-year-old about to be 4, and an athlete. You can see him in the back, running through here. And so all of those things that, like you said, I learned from Reed and from our relationship has trickled down to me. And hopefully my sons can see the example that my wife and I have as a loving home and people who are believers and who want their kids to do what God's will. And then they'll pass it on to their kids. And so
we're going to talk. We're going to talk about your oldest in a little bit because I've seen multiple. I think he plays 15 sports and excels in all of them. But until you get to that level, obviously, every human being is a spiritual, an intellectual, and a physical creature. Right? God made us that way. And we all got to take, I'm getting close to 50 years old now. So, my stuff hurts every day. I get out of bed in pain and just like, wow, I love wrestling still. And, coaching high school guys, still get in there and bang. And, high school guys can't touch you still, no matter what. I'll be 70 beating those guys, but, you got to take care of yourself. And so one of the things we wanted to do for this episode in this time of quarantine, it's real easy, right? To watch 15 Netflix episodes, eat some Ben and Jerry's, some chicken wings without working out. Now you get to my time, you work out so you can eat chicken wings. At least that's my game. But I figured these guys could give us a little help. So I just don't want you out there listening to be intimidated. Obviously, these guys did athletics at a high level, but all of us need to move every day. In fact, you hurt less when you move more. And so I wanted to start with Mike giving us a little bit of maybe advice. Your gym's closed or you can't get out and work out, or maybe you're just bored and want to start moving around a little bit. I wanted Mike to just share a little bit of some things you can do without any equipment gear, maybe just out in your garage, or if you're in the city in your apartment, small space, large space, because, city, urban, suburban, there's different settings where you can roll. But Mike, give us a start today to think about a few things someone can do from novice maybe, and then move it into more advanced kind of body weight type movements.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of different conversations every single day with high level college athletes to my mother-in-law who's just trying to stay in shape, and ultimately during this time, every conversation comes down to trying to figure out how to help them structure a routine for tomorrow so that they even work out tomorrow. Yeah. Because I can provide all the workout programs and insight and suggestions in the world, but if I can't help them create a structure for tomorrow, they're not even going to have time in their schedule, in their mind, because we have a ton of time to even go exercise. So number one, I would say before even thinking about what type of modality or type of movement you want to do is sit down before you go to bed tonight and figure out a block of time tomorrow, even if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and pick a block of time and commit to that in your head. You know that maybe when you wake up tomorrow, everyone's schedule is different, and you're locked in from 8 to 2 with work. So, obviously don't place it in there. Give yourself about a 30-minute buffer after work, and then that's your block. So first, I would say structure is key right now. In a time where we've been living for X amount of years wishing for more time, and now that we have it, we're frozen in space, and we don't know how to use it. So
when everything's unstructured, structures become more important, actually, right?
Yeah. So I would say for me, that's at the top of the list. And then, once we're able to conquer that, then we could start getting into specifics relative to your interest or what works for you, or maybe you have limitations with prior injury or chronic injuries. But one key thing that I always go back to, regardless of what level you're at or what your purpose is or your why or why you're training, is just moving your body in multiple planes of motion, right? It's most important for us, especially bogged down in the house.
And that means up, down, in, out,
down, forward,
side,
back,
math people, X, Y, Z plane. Yeah.
There you go.
So
3D.
So right now, if I would create a list of 6 planes for you. You need a push, you need to pull something, you need a squat, you need to perform a lunge, a hinge, and a carry. They're very basic human movements that we've been doing forever. And you can go anywhere on the spectrum with those in terms of in challenging the intensity of those movements, but in a very simple sense, pushing, you think of anything that involves pushing your body weight around in a push-up. Pulling, it involves anything in a pulling motion. We have some of our athletes that we train have no equipment. So we took a dish towel, put it through a gallon jug of water, and have them do single arm rows, pulling on a gallon of water. Now, it's not a massive overload, but they're still moving their body through a pulling motion. For a squat, it's very simple. You're squatting up and down. Everyone does that multiple times a day, and lunging is key. I'm really, really big on lunges and unilateral motion, especially for athletes, because, I would argue that most sport is spent on one leg, whether you're running, you're cutting, you're decelerating. So not even just for athletes, but for general population people, when you walk down the street, when you step down the stair, when you step up a stair, you're on one leg. It requires stability. It requires strength. It requires core control. It requires balance. There's so many things involved. So,
which is great as you get older too, because it helps with balance, awareness of motion, not falling down, right? Yeah.
Yep. So I would argue unilateral or lunge is of higher priority to someone of older age than it would be to just perform a squat for those reasons, Reed. And it's just continuing to provide something that challenges your balance to prepare you to walk downstairs tomorrow or walk up a curb. Something so simple that we take.
And by a lunge, what Mike is talking about is just step one foot in front of the other and go down, right? Bend at the knee. You can touch your left knee with your right leg forward, back up, right? And obviously there's different ways you can do the lunges.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just think about a movement you do in life, if you were to walk out this room right now and drop a bottle of water on the ground, you're probably going to bend down with one knee to pick it up. You're lunging to pick up your bottle of water, So just anything that's basically putting us in motion. And some of this stuff may be too challenging. And like I said, there's ways to regress and progress. So, if you're someone that's hasn't been working out consistently and performing a lunge is too difficult, you may need to grab a dining room chair and put it at your side and lean your weight onto the chair. And you got to play with it. See how low you can go. And then after a few reps, you may even find that you don't even need the chair because now your brain is awake and you fired everything to those muscles from your brain, and your brain's like, oh, okay, I need to wake these muscles up. And that's ultimately what I think the goal is for everyone, regardless of the level of sport you play, is just move every day. Move in multiple planes and move consistently.
One of the things, Mike, that I'll be 48 this year, which is still young, but you do get older. It's unavoidable to keep young as much as you can. One of the things that I do to put those kind of motions together is I'll go for long walks. And if some parks I know around the country, around the world, are closed still by state fiat. But if your parks are open, there's park benches, and so I'll go for long walks, which just kind of gets me moving. I'll get near park benches, right, and I'll do push-ups leaning on park benches, or I'll do lunges leaning on park benches, or I'll use it as a reference for my squats, keep my shins straight up and down 90 degrees, tap the butt on a park bench, and then walk to the next one. So it gets a little bit of motion as well as some of these push-pull kind of things you can do just with something as simple as a park bench.
Yeah, that's great. And another thing that I would throw in there as well is every week on Sunday, I'm checking the weather because I know exactly what days I'm going outside because you need the sun. You need the air in your lungs. You need the sun. So I would encourage you also to figure out as you're planning out your week, okay, I'm working out on Wednesday outside because that's my best opportunity to get outside today and, you know, and just be in nature. So, you know, and just starting with a walk every morning for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, detached from social media, detached from your cell phone. It will do wonders for your mind, for your soul, for your muscles, for everything.
Yeah, it gives you vitamin D. It helps anxiety and depression. You know, if you're in a time of worry, you know, getting your body moving like this outside is just excellent. It's one of the best treatments, actually, along with other things, medication for clinical issues, to deal with kind of the anxiety we might feel, is just to get our bodies moving like that. And so, outside, that, you know, that's where, thankfully, you know, my kids, they don't play a lot of video games, so they go outside and they run around and they play with the soccer ball and do that, you know. So I'm glad I don't have to say, get out of the house, you know. Awesome. Well, in terms of, you know, if you wanted to add some weight to something, like you want to lunge with a little weight or you want to squat with a little weight, but you don't have a home gym, maybe, Willie, you got a home gym? You got like a dumbbells or anything?
I have.
You have a facility.
More facility to the house. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I set up in the garage, so I didn't have to keep going back and forth.
Yeah. And I saw in Mike's garage he had some dumbbells, but if you don't have the gear, how can you add a little weight to what you're doing? Or resistance, add a little resistance.
For our kids, when we do our sessions, I tell them, look, like he said, grab a water bottle. I had kids today use a laundry detergent. You know, those get kind of heavy. And because everybody hoarded, they should have a bunch of them there. I was like, grab some of them 48 counts of toilet paper.
Yeah, they got a lot of that.
right. Grab those. And so, like you said, you get creative. And Mike sounds like, you know, my kind of guy where he's like, look, I'm going to get MacGyver with this thing because I want to work. And so you're going to figure out a way to get the necessary things done, because our model, and I am working with younger athletes, our model is like he said, more movement. We're using pieces of tape on the ground. We're using rope on the ground, a jump rope, to do footwork in and out of the different spaces. And so that's how we get that heart rate going. We do an imaginary jump ropes where the kids are getting the movement of a jump rope so that they're not, you know, fumbling with actual rope, but they're getting the movement behind it.
That's right.
So we open up all of our workouts with those things. And then we move from the footwork and the agility portion to the strength, involved in a FAST acronym: footwork, agility, speed, strength, and technique.
Train fast.
Strength portion, right? When you get to the strength portion.
For those listening on audio, Willie has his business's hoodie on, and it says, say it again, FASST.
FAST. FASST.
There you go.
Footwork, agility, speed, strength, and technique.
And
so
go.
5 core areas. Yeah, thanks, Mike. 5 core areas of sports performance that we believe in, especially our ball sports, right? They're the 5 core areas, and my goal is to impact those first 4. But to your point, we want to, when we get to that strength portion, we're telling them, look, grab things that are around the house. If you got a baby sibling, grab them. We're finding some sort of resistance.
Yeah, I used to do stuff with my son when he's little. I would do rows with him. I put bench him.
You grabbing him by the back of the shirt.
That's right.
2 hands, doing all kinds of stuff. Jerk squats. You got them in the front. You're squatting down. Sumo squat. So.
Yeah, all the moms out there is like, that's just my life.
Right. Mom's like, I've been doing that for years.
I've been curling babies. Yeah.
And so those are ways, and I'm sure Mike had some other ones, but I encouraged a lot of my parents, if they had access to get bands, resistance bands. So a bunch of them that went out and got them, only had so many at the gym. And so I didn't just want to give them out to everybody. So I made sure that I had mine and my boys had them, and then asked my parents to go and get them, off of many different sites they can get resistance bands, but we have been using that too. So,
and those are kind of different colored,
for different intensities, yes,
rubbery, stretchy. You put it on your foot. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Well, there probably are some of you out here that also have maybe some kids who are getting older, maybe taking their athletics seriously. We did a whole episode, guys, a year or so ago on youth sports and some of the ridiculousness of it that happens. But there's a time when you naturally move your children right to kind of the next level. and they naturally want to get good then. And they move up in whether it's a wrestling tournament or a different league in soccer or football, obviously they want to compete. And so you want to help them move their own training in a upward direction, but without becoming a crazy person. Will, you could start us on that. Mike, I'd love to hear your perspective on that. Mike, do you guys have kids or you?
Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit
more
when I go.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
So those are great points, Reed. And I tell you what, first off, we are in Texas. Okay, so
where they worship football,
everything. Yes, and I'm telling you right now, if they decide to mess with football, you're gonna see the quickest vaccination and the quickest testing you have ever seen in your life.
To see the nation of Texas reoccur in history.
I'm telling you, they were about to see it a couple years ago anyway, right?
Yeah.
This football is no joke, and so for us, my personal experience, not only as a performance coach but also as a dad of a 12-year-old, is that there is a balance between pushing them and allowing them to see their own path, and then letting them come into the love of that sport at their own age and stage. And so when I meet parents, right, I train athletes. I have some high-level soccer athletes that I'm talking about number one in the country type. And it's like, when did she really decide to love the sport? Well, she did it at a young age, and she's DA, she's on Olympic women's team and all this other stuff. And then you have others, maybe like myself, who didn't come into the sport or ended up playing until late. Yeah. And so we talk to parents from a fast standpoint. I say your kid is everybody has their own age and stage of development, right? And we have to be cognizant as coaches, as parents, as to when that is. Yeah. And there'll be a time, maybe it might be peer pressure. It might be their friends like, look, my friend got a six-pack and I don't. Or he's sprinting and I'm not. Or he's benching. And then that's when you start getting into the pubescent talk. Yeah. You start getting into everybody. So there's different things. And my kid is in that transitional stage where he's putting on some height. The knees are starting to hurt. Little things.
He's going to sound like a man in a year. Voice is going to change.
Drop a little bit. So you have that. And so as a sports parent, which my wife and myself are, we love to encourage. We love to cheer them. We do push. I always say, look, if this is something you want to do, I always preface it with that. If this is something you want to do, well, then you can't just talk about it. Right? You have to do it. I don't come from a family of talkers. We come from a family of doers.
That's not
right.
Yeah.
And it's not.
I know your mom.
That's how we operate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, people, you can say what you want to be, but in the Bible it says you're gonna be known by your fruit, man.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me that you want to be this type of ball player, well, then this is the steps and the work that you have to do to get there.
Right.
And so that's the approach that we take. And I encourage all of my parents, because I do have a couple that are a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
My kid's going to be the next Peyton Manning. My kid's going to be the next, Christian McCaffrey, blah, blah, blah.
And their kid might just hate the sport in 5 years because of their dad.
My goodness, Reed. 3 weeks ago, I was at a workout with some scouts. They were trying to just put some guys on video right as soon as the COVID shutdown hit. They had a workout that was supposed to be playing, and we were on the field, and it was a dad who berated a kid that's playing soccer. Couldn't have been no more than 8 for an hour and a half straight. And I mean, a lot of stuff happened out there, but that was the one thing everybody remembered was how he talked to his child. And I said, in 2 years, that kid will not want to play that sport ever again because of their relationship. And so you have to be cognizant of how you do it. And again, I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. Finding that fine balance between, if this is what you say you want to do, but then let's work, but then also letting them kind of grow into the love of maybe a position or
what I hear from you, Willie, is that there is what we might call an affectional development, their actual love and desire of it, because the kid has to tell you, hey, yeah, I really love this. And then there's a social development. There's some peer things, like if you're playing with guys and they're developing, they might want to as well. It can move kids forward. And then there's even a physiological development because, J-Bo's about to be 12. He'll be 14. He's going to be a different man in 2 years, and then you have to steward that. You guys talk a little bit about like what not to do with 8-year-olds that you might do with a 14-year-old.
Yeah, I think for us, we have kids at our facility, and that's what we started with before adults. I mean, I got into it from Rutgers. I was an exercise science major, and I left wanting to go the performance route, and I did. And so much of our program and our philosophy is at that age is based around some of the foundational movement patterns that we just discussed with general population. And to your point about kids being a new man, I argue that that's every day, especially during that pubescent age. Yeah. When you have a 12 to 15-year-old on today's April, whatever day it is in April, tomorrow he's a different human being. And in a week from now, he's a different human being. And that's where us as performance coaches play such a key role during those developmental stages, because it's our job to make sure that we're continuously exposing them to the things that are going to challenge their new body every day to adapt and know how to move that new body.
Yeah.
Because if I train you today and get you to be really good at moving your body today, and you go to sleep and you wake up tomorrow a 1/16 of an inch longer on your right leg, guess what? You need to learn how to move that new length leg. I need to teach you and re-expose you to challenging patterns so that when you step on the field, you go to cut, you're not going to blow your ACL out, because I've done my job. I've exposed you to these things.
I got the receipts for paying for the grocery bill for my 13-year-old son, man. I'll tell you what, he's feeding it every day too.
I can see that. Hey, Mike, quick question. Because that's you brought up a good point about that foundation of getting it. The parents, and I know you, that's why I'm asking, because for us, we have some parents who are like, my kid needs to go every day. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be counterproductive in the long run if you're going that frequency. Can you speak to like that aspect of it? I don't mean to take the question, Reed, but that's a good point.
That's a great question.
To think about the frequency, because I know that I end up having to tell parents to kind of reel it in, because it isn't a 5-day-a-week thing at that age. Like even my private sessions, they're only 30 minutes long, because I'm thinking about attention span. Like I don't start 1 hour long private sessions until that kid is shown, that middle school transition into high school is when we start getting to that hour long of work where they can handle that load. But up until then, I keep it at 30 minutes. We hit it. We're getting in there. But can you speak on that part too?
Yeah. So with our program, we have 3 stages. So we start with what we call like our youth program. So that program actually starts at 6 years old, and we carry that through 9. Now that program is just, as you said, it's a very short session. We only offer it twice a week. And after that program, they'll progress into what we call a developmental stage, which is those really prime ages. And at that point in time, we increase the frequency to 3 times a week. Most often you'll get 2 to 3 days a week. And then the next stage is high school, college, which is our performance program. Now, the idea behind that in the earlier stages is there's a couple of things that come into play. There's social development, as we already talked about. When they're super young, they're very underdeveloped socially. Their attention span is off the walls. And
and their bodies are bouncing off the wall.
Their bodies. And there's a very good chance that an 8 and 9-year-old, in addition to coming to the facility twice a week, is probably playing rec soccer, fall ball, flag football. So not only are they training twice a week with me, but they're probably have 6 other practices a week. They have 4 other games a week. And for me at Rutgers, with our guys, we look at everything as units, right? So every practice interaction and every every competition is a unit. You can only have so many units in a week for it to even be effective for development.
You can't recover. You get injured.
I don't care how young you are. You need to be able to track, or not necessarily track that, but control that. It's not just like, oh yeah, he's 8 years old. I could do anything with him and he'll recover tomorrow. Right. That's not true. That's a recipe for burnout. Yeah,
exactly.
And as fathers and guys who care about people holistically, as Christian men, we also have to look at our own kids, and then you guys as professionals have to look at these people as whole people. And there's so much where it can get caught up into you're really worshiping sports and giving it another name and not really giving attention to how is this kid's emotional life, his social life, his spiritual life. And sometimes we've seen it too. You can only train so much. And then if it's not coming from the affections of the kid, man, you're then living vicariously through them. And you're doing something jacked up to your own relationship as a parent with your kid, because you're trying to like live the dream or something because you didn't get to do it, and your kid may end up hating the sport. He might not like you too much either.
Yeah.
Hey, the hardest thing I ever did, Mike, in athletics was start the North Brunswick Township Matt Raider Wrestling Club, because they didn't have youth wrestling for 12 years, and I had 5-year-olds and 12-year-olds. I didn't know what to do, man. With these 6-year-olds, I'm like, oh my god. I was calling Goody. I was got the guy from Nazareth, Dave. I forget his name, the high school coach over at Nazareth, PA. I was like, hey, how do I coach 6-year-olds? Last time I coached, I was coaching Virginia Tech.
Right.
It's a different sport. It's a whole lot of dodgeball.
Oh yeah. Well,
Right.
Well, guys,
Okay.
I appreciate what you do, because we've all experienced how much sports is a part of growing as men and young women. Certainly, my wife and my girls, we're in it every day, and I appreciate coaches and folks that care about the success of others, because it's so much more. We have this phrase in Athletes in Action called "Victory Beyond Competition." Is that what I learned? I mean, I became a Christian through sports. If I wasn't on a UNC scholarship, going down there, I didn't grow up that way. I wouldn't have encountered some of the things that I did. So I'm going to give you guys a last little section here just to talk about how your own faith or your own view of life affects your work as a strength and conditioning professional.
It's deep. It's interesting that you bring that up, because the past, I'd say, few months have been rough for me personally. Just trying to keep faith at the center of day-to-day life and work. And we just had a Bible study with our coaching staff yesterday with Tyler Stoll. And I shared a little bit about that as well. And, he was able to bring to light the fact that, there's 3 major things that have been highlighted for him most recently. And, it starts with solitude and filling up your own cup, and then you also need to have community, right? You need to share that with others around you. And then, ultimately you bring that faith to life and what you fill up to life by discipling, sharing it. Yeah. And that really hit home for me yesterday. And that's something that when I first started with Athletes in Action and decided that I wanted to be a coach, like that was my ultimate goal. I was on fire. It was so new for me. Yeah. And I just wanted to share it with everyone. And my goal with even creating the name for the gym at the time, Motives, our tagline is live with a purpose. I knew what my purpose was at that time. And my goal, because I was so on fire, is I wanted to use my arena of the gym as an outlet to help people find their purpose. Faith or not, it didn't matter. I wanted you to find your purpose. So it really made me take a step back and reflect on, that's why I initially got in it. And I'm not saying I left it behind, but most recently it hasn't been, I can honestly say it probably hasn't been a priority. And I guess to go back to the question, that's why I wake up every day and do this. I want to one, fill myself up to be able to even share it and disciple other people, not even in a faith-based sense, just sharing my expertise, my experience, my anything.
Yeah.
And so, that's
and the way you love and approach people because you're a Christian is different as you go about your training. Mike, I want to encourage you that all of us, I've been in full-time some sort of Christian ministry, whether campus staff or church planter or coaching church planters. Now I run my own nonprofit. Even in ministry, I still struggle with keeping the main thing, right? Because it's easy to float. And I think that's why we're called to remember who we are, remember what Jesus did for us, and then bring his life forward in our own, whatever we do, whether that's, digging ditches or selling stocks or training fast, or doing the Gospel Underground podcast like I'm doing today under this skylight heat lamp I'm under. Will, tell us a little bit about how you're thinking for fast.
That's, Mike, you make such great points, boss. For the most part, it's how do we take our life and our walk and how we move. And I'm not necessarily, I don't do a whole lot of talking. Like when you get me talking, I talk. I host events. I'm on TV. I do a whole bunch of stuff. I can talk. But when it comes to this part, in terms of how I run fast, being able to demonstrate drills, I don't just tell the kids what to do. I show them. And it's the same thing when it comes to how we move as Christians, how we move as men, as leaders in our homes, in our communities. It's more of a showing thing. Right? Something is different about coach. I can tell you're a believer. Like I had parents tell me this, because of how I talk to the kid, how I can still be stern, but at the same time love on them so that they feel a part of the culture that we're establishing, both in the performance center, both on the playing fields. If we're just out, I did the Dad's Club, and it was a faith-based program that we had at our elementary school. And literally once every 2 months, I'm in there and I'm talking and I'm sharing. It was based on Tony Dungy's book series.
Yeah.
And what we did was we really went to a whole different level of engaging dads with their kids, because we have a very business heavy area where we live, and the dads are always traveling.
Working.
And it's like Sunday through Thursday, dads are out of the picture. So it's really just mom and the kids. And then on Friday, dad comes back, goes to the game. Saturday, they're coaching and being around. And then Sunday, they're back on a plane, traveling to go do whatever job they have. That is like the blueprint for our area for the most part. And so Coach Willie, I step in and I'm able to fill that gap, not necessarily as a parent, but just as a male figure around these young athletes, around these students, around these families, that one has a relationship with Christ, who believes that we're all called for a purpose, like you said, Mike, and that we can use this platform of sports. I'm literally using the sport as a carrot to introduce myself and how we live and how we talk and how we communicate and how we love on each other, to do more than just teach them how to run fast or jump high or catch a ball.
That's right.
Like, that's a byproduct. If they can do that, that's great. But if they turn out to be great people, they can communicate, they can hold a conversation that has nothing to do with sports, that they can love on their siblings even when it's tough to, they can forgive a friend for, sharing a nasty text or whatever. Those are the things that we're trying to push forward to the athletes I have in my circle. And then what happens is that starts to spread out even further. So we're still at the beginning stages of it, in terms of having our own facility where they can come and feel safe and hang out, and parents can trust the kids to be there, that kind of thing. But the extension of our relationship and our reach in our community is just, it's out there right now. And so that's an everyday thing. That's just walking and knowing and walking in that purpose. I don't have to say a whole lot.
There's
then when we do have
there's a beautiful reality that happens through sports or training when you're, someone's trying to get faster and they're doing it alongside one another. There's a whole lot of life that can take place and be talked about. And I even think of the passage in the New Testament where Paul said, we loved you so much that we shared with you not only the gospel of God, but our very selves or our very lives, because you became so dear to us. And I found over and over again that when you're going to war with people in sports, or you're training hard, or you're just kind of circling life together, that the Lord gives these great opportunities to show something different. And by God's grace, my gift is speaking. And so I like to talk about it. I mean, I'm an evangelist by nature, so it's a combination that's been a wonderful thing to see. And you guys, and hey guys, I'm glad that you guys can meet each other, because you're in the same industry, kind of same God and Father overall, and hopefully you guys can continue maybe a little dialogue on how you do things in the future professionally.
Yeah, I'm definitely hitting them up.
Well, Mike, tell us as we close up here where we can find you online. Tell us where, if we want to find out about where Mike Demarco is training strong people, where would they go?
I actually just switched our website over, so it's a little bit more COVID friendly right now. So if you head over to motiveslife.com, I took down everything from in-house. So I tried to make it very interactive. And when you open up the page, it says, what's your purpose? And you could click if you're interested in general fitness, wrestling, sports performance, and then it'll pull you onto our YouTube page relative to those categories as well. If you hop over to YouTube, I've been trying to upload 10 videos a week in all different types of workouts and stretching routines. We even have 12-minute and 15-minute. You stream it to your TV. It has a timer on the bottom, and you just follow my lead through a stretch.
Awesome.
You can find – I don't even know how to get to my YouTube channel, to be honest. If you just
I have
Mike
it. I have
Demarco.
the link. I'll put it in the show notes for you guys.
All right, great. And then on Instagram and Twitter, it's the same. It's motives_Mike D.
Yeah.
And that's where you can find us.
Hey, can you tell me what it means that Kyle Dagg's getting younger every day? Have you heard this? Because of his functional rhythms training or something. Yeah.
I think it has to do with his infrared sauna.
People trying to mock infrared saunas, man. You can get them joints on Wayfair for like $1,500. Will, where can we find you?
Hey, I train fast, and that's fast with 2 S's. itrainfast.com. I have Instagram as I train fast, and Twitter, the same thing. what I'm doing and what COVID
and at IllWill35, I'll put that out there.
That's I was going to say. That's what I was saying. At IllWill35, that's the
personal
the main one that I use, and I train fast as well. So IllWill35 and Willie Pile. Those are two. You know, as my nickname in college. But what COVID is really this sit down is like, you know what? Yes, you can do and be interacting with your athletes on Zoom, but at the same time, doing more like what Mike is doing in terms of putting videos out and content. And regardless if 3 million people look at it or 5 people, you're having an impact on somebody's life. And that's one of the things that I really have to commit to getting better at. So this is definitely inspirational for me, Mike. And hey, you putting stuff out, and it's like I have all these things, and if you reach out or I reach out to you, I can get that to you. But now just making that available, especially in a time like this where so many people, need something, right? They need something, looking for something. And so that's a part of just sharing a little bit about our gift. And like you said, your talent to be able to share that with others is amazing. So I train fast, IllWill35. Like you said, put in the show notes.
Amen.
Just love, posting videos. You're going to see a lot of pictures and videos of my kids, though, right?
Well, hey, tell us about your 12-year-old, get the 30-second version. Because, look, man, this dude's running away from people on foot. He's like slapping baseball balls over the fence. I mean,
so the thing is that, and this is
he's kung fuing people too, isn't he?
Yes, stuff came easy, and it come easy to him. And so again, striking a balance between this is natural and then this is work. Is with the phase that we're in now, because again, he's developing every day.
Yeah.
But just gifted on the basketball court, gifted on the football field, gifted in baseball, whatever he's.
He's also really, really, really good looking. He's been in JCPenney ads. Come on now.
He got some Zoolander quality.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's definitely my wife.
Oh yeah.
And I tell you what, he's a good kid. And I love him, but I'm always pushing because right now he's on video games and on the phone and stuff. And so, typical teenage stuff, preteen.
Yeah.
And so just, staying encouraging, but still letting them know that there's a real world out there that you better be prepared for. Football or baseball or basketball will come back. And so this time is the one that's everybody's equal to. You can move ahead if you choose to by doing this. And so I
told my son the same thing the other day. I was like, hey, just imagine what those people trying to get that soccer scholarship are doing today. And I'm watching what you're doing. So, hey, man, put yourself ahead. Guys, thank you so much for visiting with me today. It's obviously a privilege to reconnect with you both. We need to do it again soon. Be strong and courageous, my friends, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. The Gospel Underground is a joint production of Power of Change and the Bonhoeffer House. Review us on iTunes. Hey, if you guys listen, review us on iTunes. Tyler Stowell recommended this podcast today, and he's on it indirectly. Send your comments, feedback, questions that you might have to us to take up here on the Underground to info@gospelunderground.org. We are a dialogue taking place in the borderlands between the church and culture and out on them fields and in them gyms. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. Peace.